Hi there, my name is Kay Moon, and I'm a twin flame channel and Western astrologer. And this is a video about the full moon in Taurus that occurred on October 31st, 2020 at 10:49 a.m. Eastern Time if you happen to be on the eastern seaboard of the United States. This video is specifically about the full moon in Taurus for twin flames and divine counterparts. So, this particular full moon I went into it a lot in the light worker energy update. And as twins, you're all light workers. We all are. Um, but I really want to encourage you to take a moment to listen to that, especially if you are struggling with some of the changes that you're seeing, globally, in your own life and in the collective. There's some explanations in that video about what's going on collectively that will help you understand why you're seeing what you're seeing in your connection. So, this particular full moon occurs at the 8th degree of Taurus down here, conjunct Uranus, and it sits pretty well opposite the asteroid I read as the divine feminine, and that's Juno right here. Now, we all know we have both masculine and feminine energies. So you may notice that parts of what I share for the divine feminine resonate for you, as well as parts of what I share as the divine masculine for you. It's actually a really good sign if parts of both resonate for you. It's a sign that you are no longer living in polarity, that you're moving into union energies with self. So, for the divine feminine, being opposite Uranus and conjunct the sun, this is a moment of some serious epiphanies and insights about what is going on in your connection and what's going on within you. The aha moments about where things stand and why they are in the place they are in are going to be a little bit bittersweet. They're going to be a lot a bit insightful. They're also going to provide the information that you need to get to the next step in your divine connection. So, whatever that next step is for you, the insights going on at this full moon in Taurus are going to provide you with the ahas about how to get there. And even if you don't know what the next step is or the there is, the insights going on during this particular full moon period are going to allow you to see, okay, this is what just needs to change. I don't know what's happening next after this, but I do know what needs to change. Sun illuminating the divine feminine and Uranus being opposite her, there's just a lot of catalytic energy around her as she sits in the sign of Scorpio. Scorpio represents transformation, the death, afterlife, and rebirth cycle, represents growth. And it also represents confronting our fears and our issues or struggles with power. And you may find those who resonate more with divine feminine energy at this time, that there's a lot of projection of people's issues with power on you, and a lot of projection with people's fears upon you. And if that's showing up in your connection, it's temporary. It's a transit. It will end. But what may be going on is other people really dealing with their own issues with power, as you have dealt with a lot of your own issues with power this year, divine feminine, as you transited through Libra, opposed Chiron, the wounded healer, and your wounds were revealed to you in partnership. Now that you've stepped into the transformative sign of Scorpio, there is a real resurrection energy about the divine feminine at this time. There is a preparation to get on stage, because in 2021, and what the downloads have started coming in about what 2021 will be for the divine feminine and divine masculine, it really will be a year of the divine feminine taking center stage. And this particular period of time is a period of time of really recognizing what has to change right now in your life so that whatever happens next, it is not just like the last chapter, not just like the last cycle. We also have the divine feminine squaring an asteroid named Pallas, and Pallas is conjunct Jupiter at this time. And in not square, sorry, that's a sextile. They're 60 degrees apart. And the sextiling energy, I really like this for twin souls. It's the most harmonious energy twin souls have had all year long. And so you may notice during this time that there's a step up in communication and outreach and connection if you are in some level of separation. If you are inside of some type of committed partnership or connection already, you may notice that there's more flow, ease, and harmony in working together and bringing things forward together, that there's more wind at your back in your union from the universe to make things start to unfold with more ease for the two of you in the areas of life that 2020 has shaken up. And you may also be noticing that it's easier for the two of you to just get on the same page about what happens next in the connection. Not to say that you were off the same page or challenged. You may have things may have been going fine, and now you're going to see as we walk toward 1221, the solstice date, you're going to start seeing that things get even better and better and better. That there's more and more opportunity for coming together, for closeness, for clarity, for getting on the same page, for honest and transparent communication that provides transformation. Most of that is going to be initiated by the divine feminine as she sits in the sign of Scorpio. And had a retrograde dance. Well, Mercury had a retrograde dance with her and brought her a lot more consciousness, awareness, and insight. Mercury's going to start to go direct and meet up with her again. So there's a lot of information and lightning and electricity around the divine feminine energy at this time. So yeah, I really like that there's that sextiling energy for divine feminine and divine masculine. That they're in sextiling signs, that there's this opportunity for greater closeness before the end of the year. And then once we hit the solstice, boom, they are in sextiling signs for the remainder, for the next 11 months. Now, there's good things and there's okay things about the sextile. What I like about the sextile energy is that it's one of the three most harmonious energetic flows between planetary energies. The conjunction, the trine being the first two, the sextile being the last one. The sextile, uh, if you can think about a rowboat and two people being inside of a rowboat, when you drop that rowboat in the river for a trine, the river just takes you. And you don't really have to row unless you're trying to row against the current, but why would you? The river will just take you in the direction you're wanting to go with the trining energy. But with the sextile energy, it's a bit more like being dropped in still water. And so if only one of you is rowing, that boat will go in a circle. But if both of you are rowing, that boat has the possibility and the potential to actually go somewhere. You can do some things with a sextile. You can get some places. And I like that because there's a lot of mutual support here in sextiling energies between divine feminine and divine masculine between now and the end of the year. And especially as we walk into the 11 months after the solstice date. So yeah, it's a good time for supportive connections, etc. If you've been wanting to book a twin flame reading, the December reading calendar is now open. Um, I will say that there are only a few spots left, and once the December calendar is sold out, the next readings won't be until 2021. So now's a great time to book if you know you want to have conversations about what to expect in your connection in the coming year. Okay. The divine masculine, on the other hand, let's have a look at his energies. Um, Divine masculine energies are conjuncting Pluto here. We've got 2 degrees difference between that red glyph down there, that's Jupiter, and the blue glyph next to it, that's Pluto. We've got a 2 degrees of separation energy, which is basically a conjunction. And it is the third conjunction of 2020 for divine masculine energies. The first one was back in March, and you may have noticed that at that time there was a bit of a rude awakening around some part of your life, divine masculine energies. You may also notice that there was a second calling or a second round as we hit the end of June. That was when the second kind of wake up call hit around this. And then you will also notice that 1111 is when the third hit of Jupiter conjunct Pluto will arrive. Jupiter conjunct Pluto for all of us, no matter what kind of physical body you incarnated into or have now, it's an ego blow. The the Jupiter conjunct Pluto energy really has us complete distortions, I think is the best way to say this. Let me try it for better words here. End illusions. It's a faith breaker for sure. It supports us to stop being optimistic or hopeful or faithful in places that have actually we're actually being called to change. We're being called to transform, and we're being called to grow in. It asks us to stop kidding ourselves. And so, with Jupiter conjunct Pluto for the third time, this all would have been in a singular area of your chart. You want to pay attention to where the sign of Capricorn sits in your chart. This energy would have provided the kind of shakeup that 2020 was always meant to give us, so that the next decade won't be like the last decade, so that we can actually move into a new era in our lives. And so, divine masculine energies, this shakeup is big, it is catalytic, it is unignorable. And if you found your life consumed by some of the changes that are taking place this year, and you're just holding on for dear life because the universe is dragging you, A, you're in good company. B, you've made it this far and this is the last one. And C, you got this. Your divine masculine energy. You do have the power within you to create something from nothing, to phoenix out of the ashes. So rise. In addition to that, that palace energy out here is bringing forward a protective energy that really is supporting you to protect the parts of your life that really matter to you, protect the parts of your soul that you really want to make sure are safe during these passages. And this sextile to Neptune that we have, remember what we talked about around sextiles, that it's getting support, but you have to do the work to have it, is supporting you to have a little bit of faith, hope, and optimism that, okay, yeah, this sucks, but it won't be forever and I can rebuild. And I like that. There's a lean into spirituality for divine masculine energies. There's a call toward your more deeper spiritual nature at this time with the Jupiter sextiling Neptune, but it is going to take a little bit of effort. It is going to take a little bit of whatever you need to do to tap in spiritually. It's going to take that. So if that's, turning off your phone for a couple of weeks, or I don't know, listening to inspiring podcasts from, men that you respect and admire, or subscribing to a whole bunch of those really inspirational Instagram uh, uh, accounts and unsubscribing from things that are discouraging and really disheartening for you at this time. Whatever you need to do to tap into faith, hope, and optimism for you, do it because it really will support you as you move into this final passageway for 2020. The square here to Mars for divine masculine energy, I get it. I don't get it. Let me try that a different way. The square to Mars will likely be providing some challenges to the way you self define as man. And I don't get that. I'm a cisgender woman. I don't know what that might be like, but I can say that when your masculinity gets challenged and you start to question, well, what kind of man am I? And am I worthy? And am I the kind of man that I respect? And am I the kind of man that I really want to be in the world? When you start to ask those kinds of questions, excuse me, you are on the path toward actually having the humility to become that which you know you really are in your soul. And that's huge. This year was meant to bring you that far. This year was meant to support and facilitate your conversation with yourself as a man about the kind of man you want to be. So, if this is the questioning that's going on, you're in good company, you're right on time. And the questions that you're asking yourself and the answers that you are finding are meant to assist you with stepping into writing a new story for yourself, being a new kind of man on planet Earth. You're not going to be a replication of your father. You're not going to be a replication of the man you most admire. You are going to be the best version of you. And that is the kind of man that Earth has never really seen before. Divine masculine energies are something very new on planet Earth. And so it's going to be really important for you to do what you need to do to tune out the stories of manhood that you've been given so that you can have the opportunity to write the legacy of man that humanity requires at this time. And that's a very different kind of man than the kind of men who are kind of about willy nilly everywhere on planet Earth. You are not meant to be just like your friends. You are the leader of your pack. So rise, Phoenix. We also have this Jupiter square to Mercury as well. And so, with this, there, just like it was for the divine feminine, there are some uncomfortable truths arising, specifically in the arena of partnership and the way you have done partnership and connection up until this point. There are some epiphanies, awarenesses, and they may not have been epiphanies. They may just be kind of like, oh, patterns emerging in the arena of partnership, business partnership, and collaboration are especially indicated here because you're sitting in the sign of business, divine masculines. So, the way you're working with your coworkers and the way you're working with business partnerships and prospects, that Mercury square is illuminating for you the ways in which there have been patterns of interacting in partnership that no longer serve you. There are some things you've been doing that they just don't work anymore. And while uncomfortable, this discomfort is meant to push you into making the necessary changes at this time. Okay? Uncomfortable for all of us. It's not just divine masculine energies. This is an uncomfortable time for everyone. And like I said, in the general video for this lunation, I map out what's going on, especially if you're feeling discouraged right now. this is a really good time to have a listen to that video because it will help you understand why you're seeing what you're seeing and what you can do to make appropriate change at this time. I will also say that for both divine masculine and divine feminine, there is an energy here of cognitive distortion. And it is loud and it's a container. And it's a container that we're going to be existing within now through about mid 2021. Neptune square the nodes is having a conversation here with divine masculine, as he is sitting sextile to this Neptune that's squaring the nodes. It is divine feminine is trining that Neptune, and that Neptune is squaring the nodes. And when Neptune squares the nodes, we have extremes kind of going on in the world of perception because we have the nodes sitting in the signs of communication and perception and awareness, Sagittarius and Gemini. And so, with Neptune squaring the mutable nodes and in a mutable sign, this is going to be about understanding what it takes to change. Because mutable signs are energies that herald the end of one season and the beginning of another, and a lot of chaos kind of in between as we walk into the next season. A lot of chaos. The Neptunian energy in the shadow represents the illusions and distortions, and it represents deception, self-deceit, deceit with others. And in the sign of communication, this can lead to a lot of false truth, withheld truths, misspoken truths, and just flat out lies. Lying to ourselves, lying to another about what's so. And I cover in depth what this is meaning in the collective and why you're seeing some of what you're seeing in the collective. The other option here, and there is another option, is at the very other extreme. And this is really one or the other kind of energy. The other extreme, it is the ending to illusions, it is the completion of self deception, especially because that Neptune and Pluto are sitting sextile to one another. But again, that sextile energy says you got to want to walk out of the fun house. You got to want to see the truth for what it is, because there's going to be plenty of support otherwise for you to continue to hang out in La La Land. And when the ride is over, be hit with an extraordinarily rude awakening. So, choice energy for sure with this T square of Neptune to the north and south node. There is a choice energy about what you're willing to see. There's plenty of support for hanging out in the world of la la la. The universe is just gonna rip us out of our houses and shove us in the castle and make us live happily ever after. I don't have to do any work at all. There's a lot of that possibility to live in that distortion. The other option is to come home to some really hard truths around what it's going to take for connection to thrive in your life, whether that is with your divine counterpart or someone of equal caliber. There are some hard truths that this Neptune can help you face from a very spiritual, highly evolved perspective. So, choice is yours. If you'd like to have me have a look at your charts for yourself or for your connection, definitely head on over to kmoonastro.com. That's where you can find the ability to book a reading. December readings are available. Once they're sold out, the next readings will be in 2021. I thank you so much for listening, liking, subscribing, and sharing. And I'll see you in the next new moon video.